Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. I'm just going to pour this in here. Lisa, it worked. It made the water black. We live in a world where we are surrounded by invisible toxins every day. We live in a world where we are taking in and even putting on toxins every day. Toxins like air pollution, toxins like food pesticides, toxins like the chemicals that are in the cosmetics that we use on our skin and in our hair. We live in a world where we are surrounded by toxins every day. Today is part 2 of our 2-week sermon series that I've been doing called A Faith That Sticks. On last week, we talked about what faith is and what faith is not. What we discovered is faith is a choice. We choose to have faith or we choose to have doubt. But what we also discovered is that faith is not an option when it comes to pleasing God. For our scripture that we read this morning, Hebrews 11:6, lets us know that it is impossible to please God without faith. Today, in the final part of this series, I want to deal with 2 points. Point number 1, if we want to have a faith that sticks, we must go through a faith detox. Point number 2, if we want to have a faith that sticks, we must put our faith in the right things. As I began to prepare for this message on today, I started doing some research on this topic of detoxing. And I came across something interesting that was written by Laura Harris Smith, a nutritional counselor and minister, who said this, that there are several universal faith toxins that affect all of us. We have toxins like doubt. We have toxins like disappointment, discouragement, fear, relationship struggles, financial setbacks, ailments, rejection, work-related pressures, insecurities, trials, and unexpected life setbacks. She said, all these toxins can contaminate even the strongest faith, leaving behind symptoms of, see what's on my hand? Residue. These toxins stick to us, and we have these residues that stick to us, and it affects our body, mind, and spirit. When I read that, I started to realize that the only way to really have a faith that sticks is to flush these toxins out of our body, mind, and spirit. How do we do that? We must go through a renewal and cleansing of our minds daily. For our mind is the captain of our ship, meaning the mind is the captain of our being. Romans 12:2 says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. I've come to realize that everything starts in the mind. I've really come to realize that everything starts right here. You hear me say this often. Where thoughts goes, energy flows. Because everything starts where? In the mind. So in order for us to develop a faith that sticks, we must renew what? Our minds. We must detox our minds from toxic thinking. There's a word that I have grown fond of. That word is namaste. It's in your bulletin this morning. And I said it when I was doing the passing of the peace. I said, greet one another with namaste. This word is a beautiful greeting. It's a word that it's just beautiful. When I someone said it to me, and I said, well, wow, what is that all about? If we say namaste to each other, if I say namaste to you, Jesse, I am saying that I see, I recognize, and I acknowledge the God that is in you. And when you say it to me, you are saying that you see, you recognize, and you acknowledge the God that is within me. What is so interesting about this topic of faith is that we are to have faith in God. A God that we cannot see outside of ourselves, but we know God is there. And God does the same thing when it comes to us. God has faith in us to be like God. Even though God might not see those God characteristics being displayed in us yet, but God knows they are there within us and has faith that they will rise up out of us. We have faith in God, and God has faith in us. The reason why we need a faith detox is because our faith gets cloudy. And our faith gets stuck along life's journey because we are constantly hearing and constantly receiving damaging thoughts about ourselves and who we are. What are some, I'm going to ask you, what are some of the damaging thoughts that we often hear, we often say, and we often receive about ourselves? What are some damaging thoughts? Just throw them out there. What do you think? What are some damaging thoughts? Think about it. Jason, got a damaging thought? What do we hear a lot? Or what have people might have heard, you know? The news on the radio. There are a lot of damaging thoughts that come to us from that. You can't make it. Our minds will tell us, give up. You can't make it. What about another one? Damaging thoughts that we tell ourselves or we just hear. Eddie? Some of the things our politicians tell us, yes. Damaging thoughts. We are constantly being fed damaging thoughts. Either we're saying them to ourselves, or we're hearing them from someone else, or we're hearing them on the news. We have damaging thoughts. Damaging thoughts. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not successful enough. I'm a failure. I'm never going to have what I want in life. I'm never going to make it. We hear these damaging thoughts. A very damaging thought, in my opinion, that really bothers me, and I'm going to share that with you this morning. This bothers me when I hear this in religious circles and religious teachings. When I hear this, we are sinners. Another one that really, we were born in sin. That bothers me. Let me ask you, how do you think about that? When you hear that, I'm sure if you've been around the church or you've been around church people that religious and stuff like that, you might have come across that, somebody saying that or somebody praying that, or how did it make you feel? Jerry? You're right. Uh-huh. Matthew Fox, yes. The original blessing, I'm familiar with that. Uh-huh. Okay. So Jerry's like, it makes you feel when you hear that, I'm a sinner or I'm born in sin. It's something I can't get out of. I'm just stuck in this way of being. Somebody else just share. What does that make you feel like when you hear it, or maybe someone said it to you, or you heard it in some type of a sermon or something like that? One more person. Jesse, you got something? You feel unworthy. It's not a good feeling. There's probably many people that have heard those particular statements that think, oh, well, I was born this way. I was told I'm a sinner. I was told I was born in sin. Therefore, I can't do any better in my life. I can't be a good person. I can't treat my neighbor with love. I can't live up to this Christian thing because I'm always going to mess up. I'm always going to displease God because that is just who I am. I was made this way. Many people, probably a lot of our millennials and our younger generations, are thinking, why do I need to have faith in a God when I have been told that my very core is messed up because I was born that way? Many people, like millennials and younger generations, are probably wondering, why do I need to have faith in God to change me if God made me this way, a sinner? This is the problem with religion. For religion has created confused beings who don't know who they really are. Well, I've come to let you know this morning this. That way of thinking about yourself is damaging and is based on religious theology and not really spirituality. God is not looking for religious people. God is looking for spiritual people who know who they are and who know who God is to them. We don't need to have faith in God to change us. We need to have faith in the spiritual power of God to help develop us into the best version of ourselves, which is to be in the image of God, which is what we were created to be. We were never created to be as sinners. God created us to be a reflection of God's self. That is who we are, a reflection of God's self here on earth. If we want to have a faith that sticks, we must detox our minds from toxic religious thinking about ourselves, and we must grab hold of the truth about who we really are and reconnect with our true identity. You might be wondering, Pastor Jackie, why do you preach and teach about the mind so much? Because everything starts in the mind. Spiritual growth cannot happen until there is a growth in our mind. And growth cannot happen in our minds until our minds are detoxed from damaging thoughts and damaging beliefs. Say this with me this morning and point to yourself. Say this with me. I am a creation of God. I am a child of God. I have been made in the image of God. I am a reflection of God here on earth. I am that I am. When you begin to think of yourself the way that God thinks of you, everything you do will be influenced by a God consciousness and not a religious consciousness. If you want to have a faith that sticks, you not only have to detox your mind, but you have to put your faith in the right stuff. The right stuff being faith in God, your creator, and faith in yourself. If you want to have a faith that sticks. The thing is, in order for us to have a connection with the God outside of ourselves, we must first have a connection with the God that dwells within us. I heard somebody say it like this. If we cannot have faith in the God that dwells within us, how can we have faith in a God that dwells beyond us? How do we build a faith that sticks? We detox our faith by getting rid of damaging thoughts about ourselves And we replace those damaging thoughts with positive thoughts and the truth about who we really are. It is important for us to understand that when we detox our minds, we've got to watch what we read, because that can give us damaging thoughts. We have to understand that when we are going through a detox of our mind, we've got to watch, like Jack said, we got to watch what we watch on TV and what we hear on TV. It's important for us to understand that when we are going through a detox of our mind, we've got to watch who we hang around and who we listen to, because sometimes the people we hang around us can give us some damaging thoughts about ourselves. Because what we read, what we watch, what we hear, and what we think about sticks to us in negative or positive ways. Part of the detoxing our faith, part of it is not allowing things that are negative to stick to us. Part of detoxing our faith, not alone, it involves detoxing the mind, yes, but we also must go through a process of cleansing. And part of that cleansing is prayer. Prayer is a part of the detox. For prayer is the cleansing process where we talk to God about things we don't want to talk about to anybody else. Prayer is the cleansing process where we talk to God about our struggles, our weaknesses, and our shortcomings. It is in prayer that God ministers to us one-on-one and guides us, gives us wisdom, and strengthens our faith journey. Prayer is the cleansing process of faith detox. For it is in prayer that we release everything unto God. How many know that when you go through a detox, everything is released? Stuff is released out of your system. As a faith detox, we must also include something else: faith declarations. For what we speak matters. We must speak things like, God richly supplies all my needs. I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me. I walk in ever-increasing health. I am 100% loved and worthy to receive all of God's blessings. I live under God's protection, and I don't have to walk in fear. God is on my side. Therefore, I declare I cannot be discouraged or defeated. I let the peace of Christ rule in my heart. I walk in a matter that is worthy of the Lord, pleasing God in all respects. We've got to speak things that are going to strengthen us in our faith. So how do we build a faith that sticks in 2017? We start off first by making a choice to have faith and to live by faith and not doubt. We understand that faith is not an option if we want to please God. How do we have a faith that sticks in 2017? We detox our faith on a daily basis, where we get rid of and we don't allow damaging thoughts about ourselves to stick to us. We cleanse ourselves on a daily basis through personal prayer. For prayer allows us to release those toxins that have been building up inside of us and hindering our faith walk and relationship with God. And we understand that what we speak matters. So we speak faith declarations over our lives every day. And finally, how do we build a faith that sticks in 2017? We put our faith in the right things. Meaning we put our faith in God that dwells within us and the God that dwells beyond us. Meaning we put our faith in ourselves and we believe in ourselves because we know we are good. And we put our faith in God, our Creator, our Redeemer, and the source of all that is good. That's how we build our faith. And that's how we build a faith that sticks in 2017. Let us pray. Gracious God, I pray that this message that you have given to me to share with your people will take root in their minds and spirits and bring forth spiritual growth.